genetically engineered, weaponized tapeworms. Who doesn't want to read a book about that? Cue the intro. What's going on, YouTube? So today we're going to talk about The Troop by Nick Cutter. Dude, this book is actually disgusting. So the book starts out with this group of Boy Scouts going on their annual camping trip, right? And they go out to this island. And luckily for them, man, they've got their scout leader, Tim Riggs, who just happens to be a doctor. So this dude's saving lives in his daytime, whatever, his day job. And then he goes out into the forest with this group of 5 Boy Scouts or whatever as their scout leader. This dude's got to be a busy man, but he's a doctor, so good for him. Anyway, so they're out there, they're setting up, they're doing their thing. And this dude is all messed up, comes walking out of the woods, and like obviously messed up. So the doctor, Tim Riggs, is like, oh crap, we gotta help this guy. And so they're like running through the woods. They come across this cabin. Lucky for them. Sets him on a table in the cabin, and they're like looking at him, and he's got like a messed up stomach, and he's complaining about being super hungry. Anyway, he ends up exploding worms out of his stomach, right? Like this book is just like one horrible event after another horrible event, and it just takes over from there. But I don't want to give like too much away about the story. This is definitely something you have to read if you're into horror books or horror movies or horror of any sort, or just things that are gruesome in general. This is your book, man. If you like what you see today and you want to help out, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. Let's get right into it. It's a wild ride. One of the things that Nick Cutter gets absolutely right, though, is the personality of each one of the characters. Like, you can almost picture them in your head before he even goes on to describe like what they look like and who they are, just based off of their different personalities. Like, we all know people who are like this. So the 5 14-year-old boys are the main focus of the story, and the first one that you're introduced to is the alpha male, the leader, like the go-to guy. His name is Kent, right? And he just dominates. He's a total jock. He's like really brutish, he's like strong, and he just rules through like fear and strength. And you know, his dad is the chief of police, so you kind of get this like really dominant male figure. And I feel like we all know somebody who's like that, who's just really like aggressive. I think like the definition of toxic masculinity. And then you've got Shelly, who's kind of creepy. He's like a loner. He likes to like smell and touch girls' hair. And then he kind of gets really into like torturing animals. It's like really strange, man. I'm telling you, this book is weird. And then you've got Ephraim and Max, who are like best friends, even though they're kind of opposite of each other. But they like, Ephraim is very angsty and short-tempered, and Max is like a gentle, calm soul, and he's always trying to keep the peace. And then the final member of this Boy Scouts is Newt, who's like overweight, oversensitive, like really like, you know, soft, and he constantly gets bullied by everybody else, right? But you can kind of like picture this group of kids and just like the way they handle everything. He does such a great job at using their personalities to help them like problem solve in different ways. You can almost predict what each one is going to do before the book has them doing it, because their personalities are just so well done. And Nick Cutter doesn't sway at all from like who these kids are as individuals, and so they work through obviously all of these different personality traits. This is definitely a horror novel, and it is gruesome. Like, it's gross. It's good, but it is gross. If there was going to be a deeper like hidden meaning inside The Troop, like if you're looking for like, you know, what is this book really about? What is it really telling me? I think the book actually explores anxiety and the way anxiety kind of eats you alive, pun intended. So obviously all the boys have these personality traits like we went over at the beginning, but they have to work through these things or whatever during the course of the book, and like these crazy adventures that they have as they find out what's going on with these genetically engineered, weaponized tapeworms. It's literally what the book is about, is like these tapeworms are just like killing everything on this island because someone thought it would be a good idea to make them. I think the book explores anxiety because each of these kids has, you know, something in their past that they're trying to deal with. Like the alpha male is trying to live up to his father, who's the big, you know, police officer in the town, and everyone respects him, but is kind of like toxic and maybe punishes his son a little bit too hard. And then you've got the two best friends who are working through their things, where Ephraim is like really angry all the time and Max is really calm and is trying to like lead and keep the peace and, you know, not have people going crazy on each other. And then you've got this creepy kid who's like torturing animals, trying to torture his friends, and like he's working through that or whatever. But you really get this sense that these kids like understand that they have problems and that their personalities are not like the best. These are not like the greatest kids in the world. They're just kids who just got thrown into this horrible situation. And so I think, like I said, I think the idea of the whole book is to explore anxiety and this idea that there are certain things that eat you up inside. The Troop is definitely like an 8 out of 10 kind of book, and you should definitely read it. And honestly, it's a pretty easy read. You can probably knock the entire thing out in like 2 or 3 days, even though it's like 400 pages. No, it's like 350 pages, so you can knock the whole thing out in like a day, 2 days, easy, and it's totally worth it. It's good. It's pretty gruesome. So if you stuck around till the end of the video, thank you, and hit that subscribe and like button. If you want to see more, you should definitely subscribe. If you don't want to see more, you should still subscribe, because what if I do something that you did want to see? You didn't think about that, did you?